Welcome to the Smart Influencer Podcast. I'm Corinne,
And I'm Christina.
and together we help digital entrepreneurs streamline their businesses, maximize revenue, and finally feel in control of their time.
Every week, we share real world strategies, proven systems, and expert interviews to help you grow your influence and income without the burnout. So, if you're ready to get smarter about how you run your business, you are in the right place.
Before we dive in, if you love what you hear, be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you find today's conversation helpful, share it with a friend who could use it too.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about how we actually use Airtable. So this is a question that I know I have been asked multiple times by many people when they hear, oh, you use Airtable. And then it's like drinking from a fire hose. I love to talk about it. And I'm like, I love Airtable. I use it for everything. Well, the next question is always, well, how do you actually use it? Like, how
Yeah,
are you making it work for you?
right.
So I think, and we were talking before we got on that, well, we both use it very similarly. We probably do it very differently too,
Very differently. Yeah,
as everything we do.
that's
Same
true.
outcome, different way to get there.
I know that's the funny thing when we started our partnership and we're like, oh, we both love Airtable, this will be easy. But the couple of things we've tried to manage ourselves, like one of us is always unhappy because we do different, we use our Airtable systems differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, so one of us will understand how it's set up and the other person will not. It just depends on who set it up because
Yeah.
we work very differently in it.
Right. And I think that that's one of the things that's great about it is how your brain works. It can accommodate that.
Right. Well, like
So,
Brenda is my business manager. She loves Trello. She is a Trello fanatic. And it took forever to like win her over to Airtable. And I finally did it by setting up Kanban views.
yeah.
I just set up everything for her. Like it's in my system. It's the information I need, but I set hers up in a view that it
Yeah.
was comfortable to her.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and
um,
I think that that's what's great about it is there's so many ways to customize it and to make it work for you. So I think the big difference between you and I is you like working in the traditional grid view,
I do.
like I call it the back end of Airtable, where I'm going to say 99% of my work is done using interfaces.
Yeah.
And I just had a call with a friend of mine who wanted to see my Airtable system and how it was set up. And I gave her a tour and I'm like, okay, the next thing I'm going to show you is going to be a total game changer once you figure out how to use it. And it was the interfaces and automations. And once I showed her what I was doing, she's like, you are absolutely right. This is a game changer and it works for the way her brain works. And I kind of got a sense for that as we were talking that.
Yeah. I
So
will
if you don't,
say I feel like the interfaces are how more people like think and
right.
it's more palatable. Um I didn't realize how much of a spreadsheet brain I had
Yeah.
until interfaces came out and as I thought this is going to be amazing, this way to set it up so you can look at everything. And I do love the ability to set that up for my team because it's easier for them to process. But my brain so just automatically categorizes things in grid. I don't like to work in them. So, and
You saying you're an old dog and I can't teach you new tricks.
I think that is,
I'm
I
going to keep
own that.
trying.
I own that completely.
I'm
So,
still working on you to get a Mac.
so
Yeah. So, I mean, so talking about how we like how we actually use Airtable, I use it for everything. There's nothing in my business that doesn't first start with Airtable. In fact, when I do all of my SOP videos, the first thing I say, as in every video, everything starts in Airtable
yeah.
because literally everything starts in Airtable.
Well, and all of my chat GPT conversations, like when I'm trying to like organize a new system or do anything, is like, would you like me to like walk you through the Airtable based setup for this? Like it knows I organize an Airtable. So also we talked about this the other day in our mastermind call. It helps me figure out some of the formulas when I want to do something really
Yeah.
complex. Like I'm like, oh, like where I would normally stop myself or I wouldn't want to invest the time to get like the formula just right. I just plug it into ChatGPT
Yeah.
and I can get what I want out of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm going to say, obviously, I use it to manage all of my content, all of my blog content, my social media content, podcast content, YouTube content, all of my content is managed in Airtable. And I'm always looking for ways. So I love systems and I love to streamline and organize things. That's just my nature. And I know everybody is not like that. But I'm always looking for ways to take myself out of the equation. So if I can remove my interaction from the equation with an automation or something like that, that is a win for me. So I'm maxed out on my automations right now. So if I
Oh,
need
wow.
to add something new, I've got to find something to streamline a little more.
That's a lot of automations.
Yeah, I have a lot of automations.
Yeah.
Nothing like I really there's very little I have to do. Like I'll click submit this and things happen.
Yeah.
Like multiple things happen because I have the automation set. That's what I mean. When you figure them out, when you learn how to use them with Airtable, total game changer.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Um, I will say for me, and this is maybe more basic than that, like for me, like just macro to micro, right? Like I start with like the workspaces. So like for me,
Yeah.
that was like the hardest thing because originally I just had everything in one workspace. And then like I upgraded that to Pro because I had all these credits and I wanted more functionality. I wanted more colors was a big part
Yeah,
of it,
me too.
ironically, and the automations. And then I was syncing things between different tables because initially I had a different table for a different base for each team member because I
Right.
didn't want to give them access to everything in the main base. So I would sync between them and you only got one sync, on the free plan. So like I have different workspaces. So I have Wonder Mom's workspace, I have our partnership workspace, I have a personal workspace because I manage like literally I do everything in
Yeah,
Airtable. I
me
plan
too.
my daughter's wedding there, like I do Christmas gifts, like anything that I have to manage in my personal life, I manage in Airtable. And then I have a workspace called shareable bases. And so that is one when I create things. Actually, shareable bases is now two different bases. Shareable bases is bases that I will create that I'm happy to share with like my friends. Like it's not
Ah,
something I'm selling. It's not a one, it might be something I use for work, but I've like stripped my information out. That way I can share it with people without like messing with my
yeah.
work base, right? And it's not necessarily personal. So I have shareable bases, and then I also have a Wonder Mom space that is like things where I put like the recipe box that I use, like the digital recipe box, or like sometimes I'll offer as a bonus like an Airtable base that has all of my printables in it. That was actually how I got a lot of credits because that was what you would get when you subscribed. You just got access to that base. But the problem with that is you can only add 5,000 view onlys, which seemed like a lot, but I was adding like 1,200 people a month to my like subscribe. So I tapped out. By the time I got to the fourth printables base, I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore.
Okay, can we just pause here, right?
Yeah.
Real quick. Let me just tell you, that system that Corinne built, we should probably do a whole episode just on that.
Mm.
Because that strategy that you have employed, when you're adding 1,200 people a month, I want you to think about that because that is a $10 credit for every person. So Corinne doesn't have to pay for Airtable from now until
Forever.
about 3012.
Yeah.
She's probably got enough credits to take her,
Yeah.
1,000 years forward. But it's kind of a brilliant system. We should probably do a whole episode just on how you do
Well,
that. So I
and
just want to give you kudos for that.
thank you. What's funny about that was I stripped it out. Like that's not where you go now when you subscribe. And I still like probably I think
Yeah.
definitely every month, but I'd say at least once a week. I get a $10 credit for Airtable because I've got a link to that somewhere or like somehow people are finding it. So I'm still getting Airtable credits, but yeah,
Yeah.
it
And
was
I do it just not on the scale that you have it, but I have enough credits to get me
yeah.
through too and to pay for the paid plan.
Yeah, it depends. Like content wise, I think printables lent itself really well
Yeah,
to it. Because I do get them from the recipe box, but not nearly to the
right.
extent that
So
I
it
get
depends
from
on your industry
printables.
too.
It was so
Um,
much that Airtable booked a call with me to find out what the hell I was doing. They're like, you have brought in more users single-handedly to what, as far as we can tell, is a one table base. Like there was one tab. Like, what is happening?
yeah, we definitely need to do an episode on that. Definitely, definitely. But I'm going to say too, so the advice that I gave the other day when I was chatting with this person was the biggest issue I see is people don't plan out
Yeah.
their Airtable strategy. They just get in and start doing. And that's fine. Listen, I am not one to read the instruction manual for anything. I just play and try to break it and
Same.
see what happens. But this is one of those cases where you probably want to think about things, write them out on paper, and kind of go old school with it. Because what happens is you start building it and then you have to like fix things. And then you're constantly reinventing the wheel. Ask me how I know because I do it all the time. But if you start on paper and can kind of think it through that way, it makes it so much easier for you in the end when you actually do go in and build it. So I was stuck with a conundrum a couple weeks ago. So I have this second site that I acquired, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to manage this Airtable. Do I want a base for my main site? Do I want a second base for the new site?
Right.
And or do I want to put them all in one base and just separate them out with the field or a table or something like that? So I was going back and forth with it, couldn't make a decision. Something was just nagging in the back of my brain. So I asked in all the blogger groups who's using Airtable, how are you doing it? And everybody came back and said they keep their content if they have multiple sites in separate bases. But then I took it a step further and I went into the Airtable groups and I asked the Airtable professionals. These are like people that like build databases for a living. And I think I would love to do that.
I know.
I I really think I would love to do that. But so I asked that side how they would do it, and every single person said all in one base. It
Yeah.
was had no hesitation. So I really started, and I asked them like, give me the pros and the cons, and I ended up putting everything in one base, and it really does. It makes so much more sense because your data is together, but it's separated.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that. If I ever needed to sell that site, I could very easily filter, sort, group it, and strip it out. No problem. Um, but it allows me to do so much more. And then this is the big part. This is my sticking point. If I make a change in one base, I don't have to go make a change in the same change in another base to
Yeah.
keep my workflows consistent because I knew I would never remember to do that.
Right.
So for me, that was a big thing. And I literally just went through this myself. And I feel like I'm pretty versed in Airtable and probably should have known that answer.
Yeah. But sometimes it did because again, every single blogger told you a different way. Like that
Right.
every single blogger said keep them separate because that's how we look at our brands, right? Like you keep the brands
Yeah.
separate. You might push traffic to them, but you treat them as separate entities. So it
Yeah.
makes sense from a blogger perspective.
And I'm
So
going to say one site is food. Well, two sites are food. One site is BMX. So
right.
very different, but they're in the same table.
Right.
There's a
Yeah, the
separate field
system
that
is
says
the
the
same.
name of the site. And I put the content in the name of the site. And when I'm in this site, when I'm in the interface for site A, I don't see the content for site B or C.
Right. Well, and
So
the keeping the separate bases for people like this is the one thing I wish that because I'm not on the highest tiered plan, the plan that I'm on, I still can't always like I think you need to be on teams to restrict access the way that I want to
yeah,
restrict it for certain people, which is why they had their own base. But it gets really messy when your content has to go from here to the next place to the next person to the next person,
oh yeah,
right? Like, because then you're syncing tables all over the place, which was the system that I had. I had content workflow synced to my graphic designer's base, and then it synced from there into social media, where my social media scheduler would take it on. And it was just too many connections. And I followed Christina's advice, like, right, like I wrote it down to map how that was happening because I had to get it out of that system to bring
yeah.
it all in. And it's possible, but when you've got so many things that are filtered and and grouped in certain ways, like there's just more chance I'm going to break something
Yeah,
and bringing it all back together than if you just
right.
built it that way from the outset.
And I
So,
think that's where interfaces shines because then you could create interfaces where each person can only see certain things. And I like the duct tape and bubblegum system because I don't have teams. I'm kind of like in that mid-range
yeah.
where you are. I just can't rationalize the price
Yeah,
for
me
teams. It
neither.
doesn't make sense for me. Even with credits, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-mm.
But I've got like some hacks for how I prevent people from
Right.
accessing other things. And it's been working for me. And then there's also third-party tools that you can integrate with Airtable, things like Fill Out and Softer. And it just takes a little bit. So if you feel like you're a little tech savvy, you can incorporate those in there and really truly customize it the way you need to customize it.
That's the
it,
other thing that you do. You've leaned much more in on that. I like I think I'm so stubborn in regard to that. Like it's my same beef with Shopify. Like, I am using you as my store. Why do you not just have everything I need to do what I want to do here? Why do I have to load and pay for so many different apps?
So
Like, that irritates.
I'm going to give you the reason for that. And I kind of agree with the way Airtable's approaching it. Think about there's a certain industry business that we've both worked with that has watered down what they do by adding other things, right? They go
You're
into
right.
different
You're
areas
right.
and they water down the main core of what they do gets
Of what they
left,
do.
yeah, gets left behind. So I think what Airtable's doing is that we're going to do the data part and we're going to do that well. These other things that are nice to haves but not need to haves to make the data work, there's other people that can excel there.
You can I'm almost sold there because it's then similar to WordPress and plugins. But
Yes.
then and again, not calling you like I think like I love that you do it because it's saved us so much trouble and things. I think I will always have an issue with this, but for the same reason that I'm paranoid about every plugin I have. Anytime you introduce a third party, so
Yeah.
it's not the person you've
Agreed.
contracted with, you are at risk.
Agreed.
I've got a little too much of my mother's paranoia about like I can't trust anyone.
Yeah. And you do have to do your due diligence and
Yeah.
make sure that it is a reliable tool that you're using
Yeah.
and this is where those groups come in handy. Like the ones that I'm using have been vetted, but like I took my team, so I manage my entire team process in Airtable. And so it's back end, it's gathering all that data. When I onboard a new team member or an intern, they go through a process where they have to, you know, give me all of their information. We have to start recording all of that. There's some orientation videos, there's onboarding videos, like all that stuff. I found it easier to do that using Fillout,
Right.
which is a third-party tool. So it integrates with it. It's basically a form that they go through. But what I love about it, the way I built it, is they go in, they put their basic information, and then they're like, I go watch this video. Then they watch the welcome video, and then they click that they watched it. And in some cases, I'll put a question like, "What do you do in this situation?" They check the answer. Then they can move on to the next step. It won't open up or unlock the next step until they've done that first step. And then they can go through, watch the next video, and then, verify that
Right.
they've watched that, acknowledge it, and then it unlocks the next step. So it kind of opened up some more flexibility for me because I was hitting some roadblocks in my system and there were just some common pain points
Right.
that I wanted to address.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to go outside of the tool to find that. But I mean, could I have built something very similar in Airtable with formulas and automations? Probably.
Probably. But then the time invested and
Yeah.
like forms, right? Like their new forms are making me bazonkers. Like I don't like that you can't customize the font size. Like I feel
Yeah.
like I've never felt so old as I have when I'm trying to look at a new Airtable form.
And the font is like
And the
super duper
font is
tiny
like, yeah,
for
six
20-year-old eyes.
pixels. Yeah.
And you have to zoom in on your screen and make your,
Yeah.
your font size on your screen 150%.
So
Yeah.
here's the real talk, people. Like I love Airtable, but yeah, I'm not saying it's perfect. But I will say like I've gone farther with Airtable than any other system
Oh,
that
me
I've
too.
tried.
Me too.
I think a close second probably would have been you and I think both are on the same page with this was ClickUp. I feel like
Yeah.
ClickUp probably has all the same capability, but the way that it's organized did not work for my brain at
No,
all. So
no.
the learning curve for me to build the same thing that I have in Airtable. So I mention this only because if you really can't wrap your head around Airtable, like that happened to work for how we think. If you didn't, ClickUp might be worth a try because I think you can actually accomplish almost everything that we've set up in
Right.
Airtable in ClickUp.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get my brain to go that direction.
And if you can't wrap your brain around Airtable, consider the interfaces because some people just don't think in spreadsheet, rows and columns. And when you figure out the interface, like how interfaces work and the different various ways you can set them up, it's truly amazing.
Yeah.
So we talked about content. So I manage all of my content. Like I said, videos, podcasts, social media, blog content. We talked about team. I mean, we manage all of our teams,
Yep.
both individually and our team together,
Mhm.
through Airtable. All of
Products,
my
I do all
SOPs.
of my product management in
Oh, yep. Products.
Hmm.
Yep, managing that like pipeline, the work, like how the tripwires work and the sales funnels and all that
Yeah.
stuff. It's a
Um,
great repository. I'll tell you what, I use that base all the time when someone goes, I didn't get my download for this product that I bought. Usually it's user error. So I could easily just hop in there, grab the link, and send
yeah.
it over. It's so easy than having to go into Dropbox, you know, like
Yeah.
go search
Well,
all the
it's so
things.
easy to bundle there, like because I'm at that phase now where I'm trying to like get my cart value up. So
Yeah.
it's so easy to go in and I can pull like anything with the tag dinosaur. Like that was one I recently did.
Yeah.
Or, like anything with the tag outer space so that I can pull together like themes and I can see everything all at once. And it's much easier to see the data because then I have all the data there as opposed to if I'm in Shopify and I can only see a couple things in that view where I can
Yeah.
sort by stuff. I can choose in the product base. So yeah,
Yeah.
products is another. I've been trying to be better. We've had it for a long time. You and I built it together. I only recently started using it is my asset space, like to
Hmm.
keep track of all the things that like I buy on AppSumo, anything that like I have access to courses that I've taken to keep track of
Yeah.
how far I am in them. To because the number of times that like I this doesn't happen as often as I think that it probably should based on how, flighty I am. But then I bought more than I'd like to admit, bought the same thing twice.
Yes, I know. I know.
Like I'll go to
Content,
login, it's
even
like you already have a login. Dang
yeah,
it.
even if you buy like semi-exclusive content and things like that, like I've done that before. I've been guilty. And that's kind of one of the things that prompted me to even start tracking
Yeah.
all of that stuff in Airtable. So I stopped
Me
duplicating
too.
things.
And when I would buy something to make sure that it was delivered and then I got
Yeah.
all the components.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's another thing
Email newsletters. I use mine for that, for planning those out. Um, and tracking that. So what's great about Airtable too is you can import data from a CSV. So if you're thinking, yeah, this would be great. I would love to track my content, but I have like 600 posts. I don't want to have to type them all in. If you can export a CSV from anywhere, you can upload it right into Airtable.
yeah.
And it's pretty smart now where it can kind of,
It even auto detects what type of
yeah,
fields
what
they
kind of
are.
fields you need.
Yeah.
So it's pretty smart. So um, if you can make a CSV out of it, you can upload it into Airtable. So I like you can get a CSV of your email analytics and then upload them right into Airtable.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
looking at all my bases now to make
I
sure.
know. I've got my shortcuts here. So
So,
I have one of my cheat sheets because I have so many different ways that I use this. I have a folder on my shortcuts for my browser and I just have like all the different views that I use listed as a shortcut so I can just kind of move down them. I do all my budgeting and taxes, like to know what to pay for my quarterly taxes, like all that figuring out. I have a whole Airtable base just for that too. Like I use QuickBooks, but then just like the budget part of it. I don't know.
right.
I don't feel comfortable in QuickBooks.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, I do all my affiliate links there because I was
Yeah.
doing the daily deals with Amazon for,
Hmm. That's a great
so
one.
like tracking all of that there. I don't think we talked about this. We have before, but like we keep all of our business details there. Like this was one
Yeah.
another thing like early on that I did because I was tired of like having to look up my hex codes each time
Yeah.
to go find my EIN. So like I just have that in the business and brand base, and so everything is there. My font styles, my colors, my like everything.
The logos,
Mhm.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so super easy to do that. And you can make a pretty card so it looks really nice. You can see like your entire style guide
Yeah.
kind of like at a glance. Yeah, it's really nice.
And then,
On
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say last year, like more so than this year, I was really on a grind to grow my list. So I was participating in a lot of bundles and summits. So I created a base to track all of that because they all have different application dates and they have different things that they need. And but they have different things they need, but a lot of times it's the same stuff. So if like you're promoting a product, so like they needed a mock-up of it, they needed your bio. So I created a base so I would just have it and I could easily like
Yeah.
apply and have all the information all in one spot. I could create a calendar view so I could see what, my due dates were for it. So yeah, that was helpful.
Yeah. So my advice too, when you're thinking about ways that you can use it, so the first one thing is to map it out on paper, but then to think logically, like you can have different views for everything, every person. But that's where it really comes into how you name things, I think is super important so that you don't get confused, mixed up. Like my one base, my content base, if I go into the back end, like the part where you work in, if you looked at all my views, there's one that says all data copy, all data copy, copy, all data copy, 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 all data two, all
Mhm.
data three. Because like before I was doing it, I wasn't being smart about it. And I'm afraid to delete those views because I'm like, I think I still use all copy, copy. But not all copy, but all copy copy.
Right.
So it's just being smart about how you name things and being strategic. I use emojis for a lot of things. My
Yes,
other
I
hack
love
is,
that tip.
yeah, my other tip I should say that I do all the time is I've been using Airtable for a long time. So um my system started out with the smart influencer system that we sell.
Mhm.
So that's how it started. But then over the years, I have super duper customized it, just like you have.
Yeah,
And some fields I've stopped using, but I'm afraid to delete them. So
yeah,
my trick is I grab the big red X emoji and I put that in the front of the name of the field and I put an X there and I just hide it. And then I go back and I'm like, oh, if I haven't used this, kind of like your closet, right? If I haven't
right.
worn that shirt in a year, I could
Yeah,
probably get rid of it. So I kind of put that red X to indicate that it's not a field I'm using. I don't think I'm using.
right.
And it's pretty much safe, like down the road, I can get rid of that. And then ones that I know I should never, ever, ever touch because they're part of an automation or something like that, I use the lock emoji and I put that on there. So it signifies to me, don't delete this by mistake, don't change it, let it be.
That is such a great tip. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love so, and you introduced me to this when we were running our niche sites together out of one, is to color code them. So I have all
Yeah.
of my brands color coded. I
Yep.
also have my team color coded so
Ah,
that I
yep, me
just
too.
know like what color is associated with who. So and it, like we talk about this a lot, right? Like the visual shortcuts, like those
Yeah.
are the places I know I lose time. Like my brain is just not as agile as it used to be. It
Yeah.
takes time to process. So anything I can do to shortcut that, and I'm super visual.
Yeah.
And I love a good color coding
Me
system.
too.
So yeah, so I can go in and easily see what's Wonder Mom. I can easily see what's Book Club Center. Like I can see just at a glance and automatically know what I'm looking at. Like
Yep.
that was such a game-changing strategy that you shared. It seems so
Yeah.
simple, but I wasn't using it until
Yeah.
you had showed me.
So I do it with fields, but like I said, I also do it or with views, but I also do it with fields. So in my team base, like I have interns and I have VAs and contractors. So each of them has different fields that need to be filled in. And like a VA isn't going to fill in the same things that an intern's going to fill in, who's going to fill in something different than a contractor is going to fill in.
Right.
So I put the colored dots in front of the field. So like all the fields for my interns have yellow dots. All the fields for VAs have green dots. All the fields for contractors have blue dots. That way I can at a glance as I'm trying to pull data and be like, oh, is this something that applies to an intern or a VA? I'm not really sure. I just look for the colored dots
Yeah.
and I eliminate the guesswork.
Yeah. Love a good color coding system.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I upgraded to get more colors.
I know. But like the dots are just the emoji dots that I'm using. I just go into
Yeah.
the emoji keyboard and I copy and paste those in there. So, I use them too in my interface views. So like you could see
Yeah.
like all the things. I even like you mentioned you planned your daughter's wedding and Christmas. I mean, I don't have a wedding to plan, thank God. But I do it for Christmas. I keep track of all of our personal like medical information there. I like that it has the end-to-end encryption, so I feel pretty
Yeah.
safe keeping my data in there. Um, but I also, my son, I think I've mentioned this on episodes, has a lawn care business, and we manage his entire business in Airtable. So booking clients, invoicing clients, his routes, like all that stuff, his taxes, it's all handled in Airtable and
Yeah.
he can access things on his phone and do stuff there and
That is probably one of my favorite things is that like you and I will be in working on it simultaneously
yeah,
and I can see what you're doing. Like I can like that's why we used it for the wedding because everybody on the day of the wedding could access it on their phones and see
yeah,
like where we were in the itinerary.
yeah,
I do any party, like if we have a big party, like I've got
hmm,
one of my bases is for my 50th birthday party a couple of years ago. I planned everything there. So when I was at the store, I could check off stuff.
yeah,
I know there are other apps that do this, but because I'm already in Airtable, it's just easier
Yep.
for me to have everything there. Before I forget, because I've already forgot 3 times in the course of this conversation, the other thing that I do when you were talking about like the all data copy, all data copy, copy, the one thing I've done, and this was a recent thing, like I think I just started this in the last few months. In every base that I work in regularly, I have a view that is like I have it, I originally called it working copy, but I think I'm changing it because it sounds more fun to playground. But that is where like I just have it has all the data and
I
I
love
can
that.
so when I'm going in just trying to like I want to pull something real quick. I know it has all the data without messing with my master data, view. So I
Yeah.
can change filters, change like which columns are showing or revealed. And that's for stuff like where I'm going in real like to do something temporary, right? Like I'm not creating a new view that I need to always access. I just want to go, like I use it a lot in my printables base because I'm going to find like a specific thing. I have like working copy. I think I'm going to make it playground because I like that name better. But that is where like it's the all data view. So it has everything there, but I will like filter things out like for like a temporary thing, right?
Yeah.
Like so it's not where I need this view all the time because we're using it for some part of production. It's just I want to go find some information. I want to be able to search all the data that's in there without screwing up my all
Yeah.
data view. So
I
I
like
have
that. I
that
can
now in
copy
all my
that.
bases, and and it's a
Yeah.
personal view. The team can't see it because my business manager is admin on most of the business bases. She can see
Yeah.
everything. So I just make it a personal view, so only I can see that, and it
Right.
doesn't confuse her when I'm opening and closing things and hiding things.
Right.
But yeah,
So if this is something you think you want to incorporate into your business, it's so flexible. There's so many things you can track in it. Like I have links to, so when I publish content, I'll put in a link to Google Analytics for that post, Search Console for that post, Clarity for that post, so
Mm.
that at any time when I'm going back to look, I could just click a link, bam, 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 bam. And they even have a button feature. So if you put a link in there, you can put a pretty button that you just click on the button. And I like to use the buttons.
Well,
Um,
and I'm going to pause you for just a second on
yeah,
that. This is a great, like, that's a great $10 task. So if you've got a VA that you're trying to, like, it's super impactful and will save you time later. So I think it's worth putting someone on. If you use interns, I think it's a great intern task. But like adding all those links is a great thing to
yeah,
assign to someone on the team that is super impactful for you, will save you a lot of time. It's
yep.
not something you have to do, but it's super helpful once you
Yep.
have
And that's exactly what I did. Somebody else has worked on that.
it. Yeah.
But it's a way of, and now it's just part of our workflow. So it's part when you hit that submit button or publish button, like these are
You
the
all
things
drop
that
off.
happen behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
somebody has to go put those links in, and somebody has to go pin it, and somebody has to do this, this, and that. But it's great because you can track so much information within Airtable. I mean, I I'm of the school of thought. If I can think it, it can probably be done. I'm not that creative where I'm inventing things, like new things. I'm not that creative. So if I think it, I know there's a workaround to make it happen.
Yeah. Okay.
So most of my system is automated. Once you figure out automations and interfaces, I think it's going to be a total game changer for you. So I highly recommend playing with those.
And I will say, because I set up a new base for an email collaboration and I was doing a more complicated automation because I needed it to go, like I needed many things to happen.
Hmm.
And I threw it into ChatGPT. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is like I actually downloaded the CSV of the full table, uploaded it so it knew what data I was looking with, and then told it what I wanted to do. And it will, if you tell it, say step by step, walk me through, it will tell you step by step how to set up that automation. So if you're not comfortable with that, like I don't know, like I feel like ChatGPT has kind of changed a lot, but
Yeah.
it has made a lot more things doable that maybe would
Yeah,
have been a hurdle, a
for
year
sure.
ago. So,
So this has been fun.
yeah, we could talk Airtable all day, but I think we've covered this.
Yeah, we can keep
Yeah.
going for sure. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us today. And if you want to take action about what you talked today or what we talked about today, I mean, just go listen to any of our podcasts on Airtable. We cover so much more about how we're using it, some of the great things you can do with it, and just check that out there. If you're watching us on YouTube, you're probably just hearing us like for one of the first times. We have like over 200 episodes in our podcast library, so make sure you head over to your favorite podcast player and go check those out.
And
It's going to take
probably
us a
a
while.
dozen on Airtable. No, like
Yeah,
we talk about Airtable a
a lot.
lot. And we would love to hear from you. So tag us on Instagram at the Smart Influencer with your biggest takeaway from today, or drop us a DM and let us know how you're applying what you heard here today.
Yeah. Thanks so much for spending time with us today. We'll be back next week with another episode to help you grow smarter, work less, and earn more. See you then. Bye.